They called him a trainee. Not as an insult, not openly at least, but in the way predators label prey they don't consider worth killing yet. The word carried a quiet dismissal, a shared assumption among the non-human officers aboard the coalition vessel Virex Prime. A human assigned to an interspecies combat evaluation unit was already unusual. A human marked as in training was almost laughable. Lieutenant Marakel of the Threxian clans didn't bother hiding her amusement. Her mandibles clicked softly as she watched the human adjust his gear with deliberate calm. He was smaller than most species present, softer in build, lacking natural armor, claws, or enhanced sensory organs. His species had only recently been granted limited access to coalition military programs, and even that decision was still debated in high command chambers. "This is the one?" she asked, her translated voice carrying a sharp edge of disbelief. "The human trainee?" "Yes," replied Commander Vostir, a veteran of 3 frontier wars. "His name is Adam Hale." Marakel's compound eyes traced Adam from head to toe. "He doesn't look like much." Adam heard the translation clearly. He didn't react. He finished securing the last magnetic seal on his gauntlet and straightened, his expression neutral, almost bored. Humans, Marakel had been told, were emotionally volatile creatures. This one looked like a stone. That, more than anything else, unsettled her. The mission briefing was simple in theory and catastrophic in practice. A coalition research outpost on the edge of Apex-controlled territory had gone dark. Long-range scans showed signs of heavy combat, energy signatures consistent with Apex hunter weaponry, and something worse, movement patterns suggesting the presence of a full Apex pack. Apex hunters were not a species that retreated. They were Apex predators in the truest sense, genetically engineered over millennia for warfare. When an Apex pack claimed a region, entire civilizations evacuated rather than fight. Coalition doctrine was clear. Avoid direct confrontation unless overwhelming force was available. Overwhelming force was not available. What they had instead was a small mixed species unit, a desperate timetable, and a human trainee. Marakel folded her arms. This mission requires precision, speed, and survivability. Humans lack all 3. Adam finally looked at her. His eyes were dark, unreadable. "We'll see," he said quietly. The drop began 12 hours later. The planet below was a scarred wasteland of blackened stone and shattered spires. The outpost lay half-buried beneath collapsed structures, smoke still rising into a bruised purple sky. The moment their transport breached the atmosphere, warning alarms screamed through the cabin. Apex anti-air fire. Evasive maneuvers. Vostir barked. The ship shuddered violently. Gravity fluctuated. One of the side thrusters blew out, sending them into a hard spiral. Through the chaos, Adam remained strapped in, eyes closed, breathing slow and controlled. Marakel noticed. Most beings panicked during their first live drop. Humans, according to the files, were supposed to panic more than most. Instead, Adam looked, focused. They crash-landed 2 kilometers from the outpost. The moment the ramp dropped, the air itself felt wrong, charged, heavy, predatory. Apex territory always did. Sensors flickered erratically as the hunter's interference field scrambled coalition tech. "Stay close," Vostir ordered. "No heroics." Adam nodded. He checked his rifle. Not the heaviest weapon in the unit, not the most advanced either. Just reliable. Modified. Personal. They hadn't gone 100 meters when the first Apex struck. It dropped from above with terrifying speed, a blur of armored muscle and bladed limbs. 2 coalition soldiers went down before anyone could react. Energy fire splashed harmlessly off its natural shielding. Marakel engaged, her plasma blades flashing, but the hunter barely slowed. It backhanded her into a rock formation hard enough to crack stone. Adam moved. Not fast in the way Apex were fast. Not strong in the way Threxians were strong. He moved with something else, timing. He slid beneath the hunter's strike, planted a device at the joint of its rear limb, and rolled clear just as the charge detonated. The explosion wasn't large, but it was precise. The hunter screamed, a high, metallic shriek of pain, and collapsed, its limb severed. Silence fell. Marakel stared. "That was Apex-grade armor," she said slowly. "How did you know where to place that?" Adam reloaded calmly. "They over-engineer strength," he said. "That creates predictable stress points." More movement rippled across the terrain. Not one apex pack. 3. Vostier's frills flattened in alarm. Fall back. But the apex didn't charge. They stopped. Watched. That was worse. Apex hunters did not hesitate. They did not observe. They overwhelmed. Adam felt it then, a subtle shift in the air, a pressure not from gravity but from attentions. The hunters were reassessing. He stepped forward. Human. Marakel hissed. What are you doing? Adam didn't answer. He removed his helmet and clipped it to his belt, exposing his face to the toxic, hostile air. Coalition soldiers froze in disbelief. Apex sensory organs locked onto him instantly. He met their gaze. And smiled. Something ancient stirred in the hunters. Not fear. Not yet. Recognition. The kind predators feel when prey does not behave like prey. Adam raised his weapon, not in challenge, but in warning. You already took what you came for, he said, his voice carrying across the open ground. If you want more, you're going to have to work for it. The largest apex shifted its stance. Then, impossibly, it took a step back. Marakel felt a chill race through her armored spine. Apex hunters did not retreat. Not ever. And yet, they were backing away from a human trainee. The apex pack didn't leave immediately. They circled, slow and deliberate, their massive forms blending with the broken terrain. Dust swirled around their talons as they repositioned, always keeping Adam at the center of their awareness. Coalition soldiers tightened their grips on their weapons, nerves stretched thin, waiting for the inevitable slaughter that everyone knew should come next. Everyone except Adam. He exhaled, steady, and rolled his shoulders as if loosening tension before a long walk. His heartbeat was calm, too calm. Years of conditioning, not just physical but psychological, held his instincts in check. Humans were good at many things, but what had frightened coalition observers during training simulations was this: when properly trained, humans could choose when to feel fear, and when not to. The largest apex finally spoke, its voice a layered growl filtered through atmospheric distortion. You are fragile, it said. Your kind breaks easily. Adam tilted his head slightly. And yet, he replied, you stopped. A ripple moved through the pack. Not anger. Calculation. Apex hunters were designed to dominate ecosystems, but they were not stupid. They measured resistance, weighed risk. And what they were sensing from this unarmored, biologically inferior creature did not align with their models. Marakel slowly pushed herself upright, pain flaring through her ribs. She stared at Adam as if seeing him for the first time. Human, she muttered. What are you? Adam didn't look back. Someone who's been hunted before. The apex leader's eyes narrowed. You are alone. Adam smiled again, small and humorless. No, he said. I'm just the one you can see. That was when the ground detonated behind the pack. Hidden charges, coalition standard mines, repurposed and manually armed, erupted in a precise chain reaction. 2 apex were caught mid-turn, their rear armor shattered, momentum carrying them forward into the kill zone. Coalition fire followed instantly. Vostier didn't hesitate. He barked orders, and the unit moved like a single organism, every soldier suddenly energized by the impossible shift in momentum. Plasma, kinetic rounds, and sonic disruptors tore into the wounded apex. The pack roared and counterattacked. The battlefield dissolved into chaos. Adam moved through it like water through cracks. He didn't charge. He didn't stand still. He flowed, ducking beneath sweeping claws, sliding across debris, placing shots where armor was weakest, where muscle connected to nerve. His movements weren't beautiful. They were efficient. Brutally so. An apex lunged for him, jaws wide enough to crush his torso. Adam threw himself forward instead of back, firing upward at point-blank range. The shot penetrated the roof of its mouth and detonated inside its skull. The hunter collapsed, dead before it hit the ground. Marakel saw it happen. Her species revered strength. Apex embodied it. And yet here was a human, physically inferior by every measurable metric, dismantling monsters her people avoided at all costs. By the clans, she whispered. The fight lasted 7 minutes. 7 minutes that would be replayed, analyzed, and debated in coalition war colleges for decades. When it ended, 3 apex lay dead. The rest retreated into the ruins, dragging their wounded with them. Not fleeing blindly, falling back with discipline. With respect. Silence crept back over the battlefield. Vostir lowered his weapon slowly. Status report. Minimal coalition casualties. Severe Apex losses. Mission still viable. Adam reattached his helmet and turned back to the group. His face was flushed, breath slightly heavier now, adrenaline finally bleeding off. Outpost is still intact, he said. They didn't finish stripping it. Marakel stared at him. You predicted that. They were interrupted, Adam replied. They came for something specific. They reached the outpost shortly after. Inside, the damage was extensive but surgical. Data cores had been cracked open, storage vaults breached, but the primary reactor was untouched. What were they looking for? Vostir asked. Adam knelt near a shattered console, running his fingers over scorched metal. Something they didn't understand, he said. Something human. They found it in the lowest level. A prototype. A neural adaptive combat interface designed to bond directly with a human nervous system. Illegal under coalition law. Too unpredictable. Too dangerous. Too human. Marakel felt a knot tighten in her chest. You knew this was here. Adam didn't deny it. I helped design the field tests. Vostir's eyes widened. You're not just a trainee. Adam stood slowly. No. I'm a restraint. The alarms blared again. Apex signatures, more than before. A full hunting force, responding not to weakness, but to challenge. Marakel felt fear surge at last. We can't fight that. Adam looked at the approaching signals, then at the battered unit behind him. His voice was calm, almost gentle. You don't have to, he said. Just get the data out. And you? Vostir asked. Adam checked the charge on his rifle, then reached for a secondary device mounted at his back, one that coalition techs had never been allowed to examine too closely. I'll remind them, he said, why humans stopped being prey. He stepped forward as the first shadows of the Apex force emerged from the ruins, and this time, none of them laughed. The ground trembled as the Apex force revealed itself fully. Not a pack this time, but a formation, organized, disciplined, their armor marked with sigils denoting veteran hunters. These were not scouts or raiders. These were enforcers, deployed only when a territory was genuinely threatened. They had come for Adam. Marakel felt the shift instantly. Apex pheromonal fields saturated the air, broadcasting dominance, intent, a promise of annihilation. Coalition soldiers staggered as their nervous systems reacted instinctively, ancient prey responses flaring despite training. Adam felt it too. He welcomed it. Go, he said again, more firmly now. Extraction window is 6 minutes. After that, it closes. Vostir hesitated. Leaving a soldier behind, especially a human trainee, violated every doctrine he knew. But this was no longer doctrine. This was survival. You have 4 minutes, Vostir said. Then we pull whatever's left. Adam nodded once. The unit retreated into the outpost's upper levels, carrying the data core. Marakel lingered for half a second longer, her gaze locked on the human. You will die, she said quietly. Not as a threat. As a fact. Adam met her eyes. Maybe, he replied. But not today. Then he turned back toward the Apex. The leader stepped forward, towering over him. You are alone now. Adam activated the device on his back. Pain exploded through his spine as the neural interface came online, threading into his motor cortex, adrenal system, and sensory pathways. His vision sharpened beyond natural limits. Time stretched, each heartbeat expanding into a landscape of choices. The Coalition had banned this technology because humans didn't just use it. They adapted to it. Adam's breathing slowed even as his body prepared for violence beyond anything the Apex had catalogued. I was alone before, Adam said. That's how we learned. The Apex leader lunged. Adam didn't dodge. He stepped in, caught the hunter's forearm with both hands, and used its own momentum to redirect the strike. Bone met stone with a sound like thunder. The Apex recoiled, surprised, not hurt, but shocked. Humans were not supposed to do that. Adam struck back. Not with raw strength, but with precision enhanced beyond biological limits. He drove a reinforced blade into the Apex's shoulder joint, severing neural conduits, then ripped it free and moved before the counterstrike could land. The battlefield ignited. Apex warriors attacked from all sides, coordinated, relentless. Adam became motion, a storm of calculated violence. He used terrain, debris, gravity, and the Apex's own mass against them. Every kill was earned. Every second pushed his body closer to collapse. Inside the outpost, Marakel watched the sensor feed in horror and awe. His exceeding survivability projections by 300%, a technician whispered. No, she said softly. He's rewriting them. An Apex managed to land a blow, sending Adam skidding across fractured stone. Pain flared, real, grounding. Blood darkened his sleeve. He laughed. Not from madness. From defiance. Is that all? He called out, staggering back to his feet. The Apex slowed. They were learning again. Recalculating again. And that terrified them. The neural interface screamed warnings. Tissue damage. Overload imminent. Adam ignored them. He triggered the final protocol. Human override. His heart rate spiked. Adrenaline flooded his system in quantities that would kill most species outright. His vision tunneled, then expanded, sensors burning bright. He charged. The Apex broke formation. Not in panic, but in retreat. One by one, the hunters disengaged, backing away, dragging the fallen, never turning their backs on him. When the last of them vanished into the ruins, Adam collapsed to one knee. Extraction alarms sounded overhead. Marakel burst onto the field with the retrieval team just as Adam's strength finally gave out. He slumped forward, caught by human medics who barely believed he was still alive. She knelt beside him, her voice unsteady. They retreated, she said. A full Apex force. Adam smiled weakly. Told you, he murmured. They learn. As the transport lifted off, leaving the ruined battlefield behind, Marakel looked down at the unconscious human and understood something that would change coalition policy forever. Humans weren't dangerous because they were strong. They were dangerous because they refused to stay weak. The transport vanished into the upper atmosphere, its engines burning bright against the wounded sky. Below, the ruined world grew smaller, quieter, as if holding its breath. Hours later, Adam awoke in a medbay surrounded by unfamiliar silence. Machines hummed softly, monitoring a body that should not have survived what it endured. His muscles screamed, his nerves burned, but he was alive. That alone felt strange. Marakel stood nearby. She did not speak at first. Threxians were not known for reverence, yet there was something close to it in her posture now. When Adam finally opened his eyes, she inclined her head, a gesture reserved only for equals. The Apex have withdrawn from the sector, she said. Completely. Adam exhaled slowly. Good. Coalition Command would later call it a strategic anomaly. Analysts would argue. Historians would argue louder. Apex doctrine would be rewritten in bloodless ink. The neural interface would be locked away again, labeled too dangerous. But the truth spread anyway. Across the stars, species that had once dismissed humans as fragile trainees began to hesitate. Patrol routes changed. Threat assessments shifted. Apex hunters marked a new symbol in their ancestral records. Not prey, not rival, but warning. Human. Adam closed his eyes, already drifting back into exhausted sleep. He didn't think about legends or fear or what the galaxy would become tomorrow. He thought only of one simple thing, something humanity had always carried quietly, stubbornly, into every hostile world. If pushed far enough, if cornered long enough, humans did not break. They adapted. And sometimes, they taught even apex predators how to step back.